Healing the Broken Soul in Theta Healing, and this is from the Advanced Theta Healing, and I've made a video of my experience in studying Advanced Theta Healing, and it says Harnessing the Power of All That Is by Vianna Stibal, or Vianna Stibal, creator of Theta Healing. This book I got, it is printed by Hay House, so you can actually get them and you can just read the books, but because all the details are in the books. But I'm telling you, when you get the coaching, oh my goodness, OMW, oh my word, you know, it's so amazing. But if you just want to start out, you can actually just get the books. Books give you all the information, but I can tell you that the coaching, it is just, it's next level. It is amazing. I have just made a video about finishing my advanced Theta Healing coaching, and I can tell you, it is exceptional. It is amazing. And I'll put a link for that video, and I've made 3 up until now. The reason why I decided to study Theta Healing, the experience with basic DNA, the experience with advanced DNA, and I want to speak to you about healing the broken soul, which is something that you learn in advanced Theta Healing. So welcome to the video. My name is Adrian Nelson. I am a Theta Healing practitioner, and I'm incredibly excited about it. It is literally the answer that I've been looking for, you know, even in things like how to take my tarot reading to the next level, how to take my Reiki massages to the next level, how to take my hypnotherapy to the next level. And hypnotherapy forms part of Theta Healing, you know, because, I mean, hypnotherapy is exceptional. It's amazing. It's incredible. But it forms part of Theta Healing. So, you know, if you kind of feeling a little bit frustrated because things are taking too long in Theta Healing, or people have to keep on coming back for sessions, or you just really want to make that marked difference in somebody else's life, trust me when I tell you this, you want to consider studying Theta Healing because it is incredible. So this part is called Healing the Broken Soul that I want to speak to you about. I think I told you my name is Adrian Nelson. If I didn't, my name is Adrian Nelson. And so there's sometimes some confusion about what the soul is and what the spirit is. How the soul is everything that we are, and spirit is what's inside of you. So it's essentially sort of like the essence of the soul. Okay? Now, I'm going to read you a little bit from the book. But before I do, let me just quickly explain to you a little bit about healing the broken soul. So as we go through life, as all of us go through life, we undergo things. There's trauma, there's heartache, there's grief. And the way to know if your soul might be broken, so maybe let's just start there. So what does it mean when your soul is broken? All right. So, you know, as I said, when you go through things in life, you go through challenges, you go through knocks, things are tough. It is heavy on the soul. It's heavy on your being of who you are. You kind of want to think of your soul as you. It's actual you. All right. And then the human part, the body part, the part that you look at when you look at me, and the part that you look at when you look at yourself in the mirror, that is a human representation of who you are. Because as a human being, you are the universe, or in this case, the soul, which is, you know, part of the universe, expressing itself in human form. Okay? And also something that sometimes get confusing now that I just think about it, something that sometimes get very confusing around that. And, you know, if you want me to clarify this more, you can let me know in the comments. But, and I'd really appreciate if you like the video and share with somebody who can benefit from it. But so when we speak about our higher self, for example, and source of all, for example, okay? So you have you as the human being. You are a leaf on a branch. Think of yourself as a leaf, one of many. And the higher self might be one of the branches, okay? And then sort of like the soul would be like the most solid part. And then we're all part of the tree, because the tree is source, the tree is all. Make sense? Okay? So also something that sometimes comes up is the question of, let's say you do mediumship. And you know, in mediumship, you speak to someone who's passed away. And then there's the question, well, what if that person reincarnated and, are they still there? Who are you speaking to? And that sort of thing. Remember, everything just is. So in my experience, you speak to the essence of the person. Being here and not being here it's an earth construct. It's a human construct. But if you are all and all is you and you're part of all and part is all of you, there's no separation, then you cannot not be. So you can simultaneously be reborn, you can be busy being born at the moment, dying like in a different dimension, because there's many, many different dimensions. The life that you desire to live, you are already living that life in a different dimension. So when it comes to abundance manifestation, you are not trying to create something new. You are aligning with what already exists. There is a version of you that is already living your dream life, living in the dream home, having the dream career, having the dream relationships that's with their soulmate. I'll make some other videos about soulmates. But just quickly, a lot of people are looking for their twin flame. Your twin flame it's a reflection of who you are. So if you are 100% happy to date yourself, and I'm not speaking from a point of like, oh, nobody gets me, I'll just be with myself. I'm talking about really fully loving yourself. 100%, 101%. Yeah, then twin flames work. But twin flames essentially, they always make me think of the meme of that cat that sort of like walk in the space. They say like walking in, mess things up and then they leave. Like that sort of thing. And that's what twin flames can often do, because they can really help us to progress, but it can be a very tumultuous sort of experience. Whereas what you really want to call in is a soulmate that is in alignment with your desires and the life that you want, and that is complementary to your life, that the two of you are like a puzzle piece that fit together in harmony. All right, because anything other than that can just be quite a overwhelming experience at times. Okay, so all right, so let's just go back to the soul. So when you've had those experiences, and you can kind of hear when somebody's got a broken soul, you may know that you've got a broken soul, because you will have those experiences that more often than not you don't feel like being here. You don't feel like being alive. You don't feel like being on this planet. You might be highly suicidal. Now, I will always recommend that if you do have things like that, you want to consult a trained medical practitioner. All right. But here I'm just sharing with you the symptoms that typically indicate that you have got a broken soul. So, feeling that you don't want to be here, feeling despondent, nothing really satisfies you. You've got no drive, no strive, no motivation. All right. No matter how hard you try, you never feel like you can get going. You got to do things, but you never really get there. You might be dependent on some sort of substance. In my experience, a lot of people that have broken soul experiences. Now, I'm not saying I'm not saying that it's that way all the time, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But even in my own experience, when I had a broken soul experience, I was doing a lot of marijuana. I was smoking a lot of weed, because it sort of like reminded me of who I am, but it didn't really get me there, And so you kind of like become dependent on a coping mechanism. And addiction of many different kinds. No addiction is really beneficial for you. That normally goes hand in hand with that. And a lot of times the way that we get a broken soul is that, you might have been through to grief and you just can't move past the grief. That is a sign of a broken soul. You may have been with someone that really hurt you. Maybe you were in a relationship and this person cheated on you, or, left you, ended the relationship. Maybe they just, no matter how it ended, even if you were the one who ended things, it might have just gotten to a point where you really had no choice, but it's like you can't move on. It is like being stuck in a cycle, and so then you get those coping mechanisms to just get through the day, like weed, for example, like watching a lot of porn, like sleeping around. And please don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing or judging any of those things, okay? overeating, keeping bad company, difficulty sleeping, never feeling rested no matter how long you rest. And you know what, with the broken soul, you can go for healing session after healing session after healing session. You can play the binaural tones, you can have the positive affirmations, you can do the vision boards, you can do all of those things, and nothing really sticks, nothing holds, nothing lasts. It's like it kind of feels like, and I speak from personal experience, it really feels like the universe is out to get you. It feels like the universe is sort of like, in a spiteful way, aiming towards just doing the worst of the worst to you. It's a very debilitating experience. There's nothing fun about it. Really, there's nothing fun about it. You kind of feel like you're just going in the motions. The same bad things happen over and over. You get into a lot of conflict with people. It seems like no matter where you go and no matter how hard you try, you have the same bad thing over and over and over and over and over, and you can, start screaming out to the heavens, what have I done wrong? What is the karma that I hold? In a way that it's sometimes easy to recognize that somebody's got a broken soul. It's like you look in the eyes, because the eyes are the windows to the soul. And a lot of times people with a broken soul, they can't look you in the eyes. Or you will even have that where even if they smile, even if they're happy, even if they're at a party, even if they're like breaking it down, there is always a sense of sadness around them. There's a sense of emptiness around them. And you might even have this experience. Now I'm with all of my heart, I don't want you to go out there and sort of like just, sort of like start diagnosing people and things like that. But one of the other ways in which you can recognize a broken soul, it could often be that, and some of us may know people like this, that you say like, that's a very nice person, but it's like the energy is just draining me. It's like, when they're around, they just sort of like bring your vibe down. And you might think that you're a nasty person because you spend some time with them, but, they're nice. You can't find anything to pinpoint towards them, but they kind of make you feel very drained. All right. It could also be that sometimes people with a broken soul could be quite negative. They're looking for ways to fix the negativity. And this could be through clothes, again, things like multiple partners, looking for self-validation in very, destructive ways, overeating, eating problems. There's a couple of different things that you can get there. But it's always, there's a sense of heaviness, and they've never got the smile in the eyes. Okay? And I actually want to read to you from the book Advanced Theta Healing by Vianna Stibal. It's chapter 19. At this particular point in time, the book that I'm reading from is 197. All right. So I'm just going to read for you just a little bit from the book. All right. Just to give you an idea. But obviously, if you're interested in it, you can actually buy the book yourself. And you might want to consider signing up for coaching. I am very, very, very inspired to become a Theta Healing instructor or coach myself. But in the meanwhile, you can always look at the link down below in the description for my Theta Healing coach's name is Nia now. All right. So the booklet says the soul is magnificent. People don't realize that it is more divine and expansive than the body. Our souls are so expensive that we can be in more than one place dimensionally and more than one place in time. All right. I haven't done it yet, but I'm making a video on bending time. In actual fact, I'm going to do it right after this one, because I've got a very funny story that happened there with bending time. Because when it comes to bending time, I'm just looking out the window. When it comes to bending time, there's something really, really important that you want to remember about it, and it's to actually bend it back. It's very important. Otherwise, your day feels very long. But let's keep on reading. For every lifetime, there is a cord attached to our soul. This is connected to all the planes of existence. So the planes of existence, there are 7 planes of existence. On Earth, we're living on the 3rd dimension, or on the 3rd plane, basically. And the highest plane is the 7th plane of existence. That is a plane of all that is, source of all, I call it, of the Creator. And when you work with that plane, There is no energy exchange that needs to take place. And that's what I really love about Theta Healing, because, we're doing tarot readings. In actual fact, if you've been following my channel, you will notice that for a while, I haven't uploaded YouTube, videos for tarot, because it would really, I love to do it, but it would really, really drain me. And I would find that a collective reading, has a very different energy from a personal reading. It just is a different way of tapping into it. And at different times, some will make you more exhausted than the other. And also I'm a Reiki master, and Reiki can also make you feel exhausted, because Reiki, you work with the fifth plane, and that is where the angels, the guides, the guardians, they all reside on the fifth plane, on the fifth, I suppose some people call it dimension, but there are many different dimensions. So it's important to remember that you get the 7 planes, and then you get, and I'll make a video about the 7 planes, or depending on when you watch this, you can look out for it on my channel. And there's many, many dimensions within each plane. All right. Remember, thoughts are powerful. Words are powerful. Every time you think a thought, or word, speak a word, you put out creation. And that could create dimensions. That could cause universes. We're not always aware of how powerful we are, but the soul knows. But then, the vibration is so lower down that a lot of times only a part of the soul actually comes into this earth experience. And I remember in a mediumship channeling, it was a couple of years ago actually, when I first came about this, I was quite confused. I was like, like what? I didn't actually realize that sometimes only a part of the soul comes into the body. Actually, often because the soul is too expansive to come into the body. And that is often where we get soul families, because there might be a mission that the soul, the one collective, would like to achieve or work towards, and then it will come in different ways to support each other with that. And that could be different people, friends that you are drawn towards. The people in my Theta Healing coaching, they are definitely my soul family. In the previous video, I spoke about how I heard my coach's voice, Nianel's voice, more than 20 years ago for the first time, and something inside me just snapped. I just knew that somehow this person would have quite a powerful effect on my life, because she's also a singer-songwriter, and people would be like, no, you're just a fan, and you just hope to meet her and stuff like that. And yes, that was true, but it was more than that. It wasn't sort of like this crazy thing, because, for example, I had the same experience when I first heard Celine Dion's voice. It's got that same sort of essence about it, and I mean, one day in Cape Town on the Vianna waterfront, I was still a waiter back in the day, I saw Celine Dion walking, and I could have gone up to her and I could have gone to say hi to her, but she seemed tired, and to me, you are a human being first and foremost, and I was like, well, this person seems tired, so I'm going to leave her alone. I'm not gonna be like all starry-eyed and be like, Celine, so I always knew that somehow Nianel will make a marked sort of difference in my life. I just didn't know how. Okay, and it's quite interesting. And so it's just amazing how life can work. Let me keep on reading for you. So where are we? Okay, so, and our energy is incredible. As part of the Creator, we are perfect in our own way. But just as we have a human body that can be broken, we sometimes accumulate emotional issues to the extent that cracks begin to form in the energy field of the soul. And, it's wonderful with Theta Healing, because, there's a lot of things that I've already been doing. But I've always been a person who's been quite cautious when it comes to energy work. I'd rather be quite mindful with it, and that is why I would really hold off on mediumship. I wouldn't just do it, because, one of the things that you can sometimes see when people work with energy is that they're always sick. They have all these different diseases, and then it's this and then it's that, because it's a very high vibration that you bring into our existence, which is a very low vibration compared to the higher vibration. Because you get the third realm where we are, the third plane, then the fourth plane, this is normally like the spiritual plane where spirits are, and then you get the fifth plane, which is, as I said, guides, guardians, and angels. And we also have a spiritual father and a spiritual mother there that actually birth us into the third plane, so that we can have experiences here and do certain things. And also something with the soul, with the little fragments, because remember, all is just energy expressing itself in different ways. It's the soul expressing itself in different ways. And when you really, really get this, you realize that you and a plant and your pet and an animal and whatever, it's all the same soul expressing itself in different ways. So a lot of people often have this idea that, human beings are the crown of creation, and then animals are below us and blah, 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 blah. But when you look at it, it's all just the soul expressing itself in different ways. That puts a whole different spin on things. And sometimes there can be so much pressure put on the soul that the soul kind of like gets, if you kind of think of a crack, almost like you've got a glass of water. So you can pour water in a glass and it's really, really great. But when you overpour it, it becomes a bit of a problem. And sometimes, a lot of times when we work with crystals, for example, you start having those problems as well. I'll make some videos about that. And maybe if you've got questions, you can actually ask me, then I can make a video for you with that. And a lot of times also when people work a lot with energy, they tend to get fat because they don't always, sort of like dispel the energy properly. Now, this is the great thing about working with the seventh plane versus the fifth plane. There's nothing wrong with working with the fifth plane. You can work from the seventh plane through the fifth plane. Because from the seventh plane, which is the energy of all that is, of the creator, there is no energy exchange because it's just all that is. But then you kind of come down to the sixth dimension, or the sixth plane, sorry, and then you get like the laws of the universe. And since I've named them, let's just do the other two as well. So there's the second plane, there is like the plant kingdom, the fairies, and then the first plane, which is the more solid mass, like crystals and earth and mountains and things like that. But it's important to really bear in mind that it's all the same energy vibrating in different ways. So in that way, nothing is above or beneath anything else. Remember, these planes, we exist in all these planes simultaneously because we are from all that is. It's all that is expressing itself in different ways. Okay? Because when we work just with the fifth plane, that is when your energy work makes you tired. That is when you start having sort of like negative knockbacks that are happening, that sort of thing. Okay? Sometimes life can become so intense in this illusion of reality that we become overwhelmed by the harshness of this existence and all the terrible things that have happened to us. Because of this despondency, we may feel empty to the very core of our being. This is the grief that is beyond grief. So if you are, really, really grieving. Now, grief is not the sort of thing that ever really goes away. I have met a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guy that was like my brother. I actually had a twin in energy. And I'll speak about that when I speak about baby in the womb healing. And for years and years, I was looking for my twin and I couldn't understand, I couldn't figure it out. And guess what helped me figure it out? The healing coaching and the advanced coaching. But and it was so healing. It was such a healing thing of the heart. Another video I'll make something about is healing the heart song, or the heart song. It's so powerful. It's so profound. But then I got this friend of mine that was actually initially my sister's boyfriend, who then died, and it was so hard for me. And to this very day, I still miss him. And the thing is, just because you can communicate with past loved ones, it's not the same as in this life. Planet Earth is quite a magical place. But it's a healthy grief. I still miss him, but I don't sort of like, my legs don't wobble when I think about him anymore, even though it was very hard to deal with at the time. Thank goodness for me, I had a boss who was amazing and I could speak with him. I was working at a hotel reception at the time, and he just really said to me, listen, something is wrong, what's going on, but so it's grief is a healthy thing. But when it gets to years and years, and when you think of that person, your knees are wobbling and you can't cope with it, then it might be that you've got a broken soul. You've become so overwhelmed by the emotion that you literally can't deal with it. And something like this can really help you, okay? So it says extreme physical and emotional illness can also break the spirit, causing damage to the soul. The spirit is different from the soul. The spirit is inside our body. The soul is everything that we are. Okay. I wanted to say something. I don't know. Also, when you use like a lot of drugs and things like that, or you watch things that are very negative. Now, I don't mean to harp on this, but When you, for example, watch a lot of porn, you may say that, like, you know what, I don't really mind what they are doing. But the bottom line and the bottom truth of it is that there is a lot of darkness in the pornography industry, and they are aiming towards broken hearts and broken souls. It's a very intentional thing. It is meant to brainwash you. It's meant to desensitize you. It's meant to sort of make you lose, the respect and the reverence towards somebody else's body, which is the temple of the soul. Where you may think that, if you just take like a normal man, woman, or man and man, like, it doesn't really matter. But it's this thing that you just gonna give it to this person, or you get it from this person, type of thing, that sort of like disrespects the divinity of who you are. Now, of course, if you're with someone and it's a really respectful thing, and you want to, kink away if that's your thing. But I'm speaking here specifically about something that is like more dark industry. There's a lot of drugs in that industry. There's a lot of painful things that are going on. The simple truth is that a lot of people, when you're watching pornography, a lot of those people are actually being raped. A lot of those people are being drugged. A lot of those people are selling their soul, so to speak, because they need the money. They don't know how else to get it. It's like the price that you pay for it is really, really high. All right. And again, I want you to understand that this is no judgment. And I don't want you to go and diagnose people, not even silently. Because remember, the brain doesn't understand the difference, or if you didn't know, the brain doesn't understand the difference between judging yourself and judging another person. To the brain, it's all the same. So if I say something bad to you, the mind understands that I'm saying it about myself. Okay? But, even if you've maybe been living on the street for a while, or you've been really, really tense, you've been really, really scared, money's been scarce, maybe you slept with someone, or maybe it didn't even take you that far, just sort of like entertain the advances, but it really made you feel sort of like, cheapened. It really made you like lose your sense of self-respect, when we do things like that. No judgment. When we do things, because life can be very tough sometimes. But any of those sort of things, it sort of forms a crack in the soul. And in previous years, people would actually die for the soul to be rebirthed. All right, but now through and Theta Healing is not the only one, but there's many wonderful modalities, but this is one that really resonates with me. And also, the thing I like about Theta Healing is that the coaching is something that really helps you to grow. I've grown so much through this coaching, in my personal capacity. So I would say to people that, yes, you might want to think of becoming a practitioner or something like that, but even if you just want to heal your own life, it is so powerful for that. It is such a worthwhile investment in the self, and even I'm like, of course, this you can use your own discretion, but I would even say when it comes to money, when you release the things that are holding you back, you will make so much more money as a result of the release. You'll see, especially when I speak, make a video about like the heart song and things like that, if our energy becomes too fractured, if our energy becomes too fractured, we will die in order to make the repairs to our soul. In the greater awareness, this is a small matter and an accepted mode to repair the soul. To the soul, death is not a big deal. I know that it's a very difficult concept to hear sometimes, and if this is hitting your heart at the moment, I want to send you love and compassion from my side. But I also want to say to you, if you get to a point where you really cannot deal with your grief any longer, you really can't, get some help. Call in some help. Get somebody to support you with it. Okay. Here on the third plane, we have this truly unusual concept of death. We always act as though it is the end, but really it's just another step, because you're just going to the fourth dimension, different plane. Interesting enough, in the fourth dimension, I was quite surprised when I came across this as well. You vibrate lighter, but you still eat. You still have a body. It's quite cool, actually. So the old way to heal the soul was for it to leave this plane. But now there is another process. Some people will still rather die to heal their soul because it has become so broken. But the healing the broken soul process can help them too. This is in Theta Healing. Okay? And that is why a lot of times you will have those thoughts, those suicidal thoughts, feeling like nothing, because your life source energy is draining out of you. It's like that glass with a crack in it, actually. And that's why you can do a lot of healings and try a lot of things, and none of them seem to work because everything just pours out again. Okay? And I'm telling you, it's such a beautiful experience in a healing session to perform the healing a broken soul process. It's beautiful. And also, some way that that it would now I'm going to be very honest with you here, or very clear with you here. I don't mind. I'm sharing these things with you, but if you haven't been trained in how to do this, you can read the book, but again, be mindful when it comes to energy. So I'm sharing you these things, but when it comes to energy, you don't want to do this fly by night thing. People watch one video, read one book, and all of a sudden they're this practitioner. That is how a lot of bad things can come to us, because we draw things in without realizing it and don't even know how to release it and stuff like that. And I personally feel something that I'm actually very passionate about is being a healer for healers, because healers do such a wonderful job in this world, but a lot of times they take so many knocks. And when I get stuck in my life, I don't know what to do. I reach out to healers. I came across Theta Healing by, actually having a Theta Healing session with Nianel, because I didn't know what I was doing anymore. And I had a broken soul, so she really helped me with that. And things just seem to work out because you remove the problems. Because you remove the problems, everything is just smooth sailing again. It's like, once you kind of remove the blockage out of the pipe, the water just flows. The water's always been there. The potential for you has always been there. The capacity for you to win and to be happy and to feel fulfilled, it's always been there. But a lot of times, we don't feel it because we are going through things in our life. Okay? So, so this is what I wanted to say. A lot of times also, because in Theta Healing you witness the healing. I'm not going to speak too much into that because I like to be very responsible with how I share information, but you witness the healing, which is very important, because it's like the tree in the forest. If you didn't hear it, did it actually make a sound when it fell? That sort of thing. But then again, with everything being consciousness, I mean, if the monkeys heard it, it's been heard. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, it's all the same soul expressing itself in different ways. Okay? We're just doing it in a human equation here. But what also a wonderful tip that I got, and maybe if you are Theta Healer and you didn't come across this, a practitioner, is that a lot of times when you try to do the downloads, because in Theta Healing, and that's what makes it really amazing and incredible, it's the downloads from source. The downloads that upgrades your system. Think DNA, light language, encoding, activation. Okay? So if you kind of get the downloads, but they don't sort of like go any further, they just get stuck, chances are that person's got a broken soul. Okay? When you are working with someone, you should first ask the creator of all that is if their soul has been broken. So again, don't just go out there and, look at people like, oh, broken soul. Look at your broken soul, Do not use energy testing. Okay, so energy testing is... it's like muscle testing that is like done in kinesiology, because the body always speaks. And in Theta Healing, you learn quite a lot about muscle testing, but that is for beliefs that we have across the 4 different belief levels. So core, in Theta Healing, we work with the 4 different belief levels. The core level, the genetic level, the history level or historic level, and the soul level. All right? So, but when it comes to the soul, remember, it's not a muscle thing. So you're not going to muscle test for it. Okay? But you can speak to the creator. You're always in connection with the creator when you do a Theta Healing session. All right? As the practitioner. Do not use energy testing, as it will not be accurate on this particular challenge. Go into the person's space, and if they have a broken soul, you will see a ball of energy that has cracks or tears in it. When someone says, I am so broken, that is an indication that you need to heal the broken soul. Okay? I'm not going to read any further than that. But as I said, it's all available in this book, Advanced Theta Healing, by Vianna Stibal, and published by Hay House. So that is one of the indications that you might have a broken soul. People will say, I feel so broken. I feel... you just don't feel like living. Nothing inspires you anymore. Nothing is beautiful. Nothing is exciting. Now, the thing about, a broken soul, So there's a couple of things in Theta Healing that you can do as standalone services, which are beautiful, beautiful things, you know. Something like the heart song, for example, you'll see when I make that video, that's quite a beautiful one. But with that being said, when you know, what was I going to say to you now? Just a minute. What was I saying? Let me just think here for a minute. Just hold on a second. Just hold on a second. Just hold on a second. Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so yeah, when you kind of just feel like there's no point to living, you just feel broken, you just feel demotivated, you just feel drained, you feel you have no capacity for anything, and you know you can find yourself with this in a job. So say for example, if you are, and I've got a lot of experience with that. When I used to work in corporate, it would drain the life out of me because it's all about greed and you know how we can do them in and stuff like that. And you know you might actually as a you know as people like to call it like an empath, let's rather call it like an ascended being, you know, a light being, even though technically speaking we're all light beings, that even dark beings, because they're a different sort of side of light, but it's, you know, it's there's a law of polarity in the universe. So if you're in a job that just feels like it drains you and people drain you, you know, a lot of times we actually hold on to things, but that might be a good time for you to do a Theta Healing session. And you know, when you deal with a practitioner, they will know that you've got a broken soul, or you know, you can say to them, I suspect that I might have a broken soul. Oh yes, this is what I wanted to say. But this is one of those things that that will rather be in a full session, you know. So there's little things that you can do, but it's definitely not suggested that you do a broken soul healing, you know, just straight out the gate. And one of the reasons for that is also because you want to work on your belief systems first. You know, because beliefs can really, you know, hold you back, or they can really like propel you forward. They can catapult you forward, leapfrog you forward, or they can really just make nothing work for you. You know, and also with a broken soul, this is a very it's a very hurtful space to be in. You know, this person needs a lot of gentleness. And just because you might need to, you know, to have a broken soul healing, you might need just almost like a little bit of tenderness first, you know. So we'll work with your beliefs first, you know, releasing some beliefs that are not serving you well, bringing in some beliefs that do, you know, maybe find the reason for why it is that you are having this. I mean, something beautiful that you can, for example, do in every healing session is baby in the womb healing. That is a really, really powerful modality. But you know, with a broken soul, the person who has a broken soul, they normally feel very broken. They will feel broken. They will feel brittle, you know. So they need to, it's imperative that you actually work with somebody that you trust. So that is also the reason why, you know, I would say to people that you can have one session, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. But if you maybe want to sort of like, you know, really do that deep inner healing within yourself, because remember, we heal in layers. Just because something doesn't serve you well doesn't mean you're ready to release it just like that. Because there's also a belief inside of you that you get something from that. And that is why we have non-serving beliefs or negative beliefs. Because we believe we get something from that. We believe it gives us something. We believe it gives us a virtue, you know. And so in a Theta Healing session, you want to understand what is it that you get from this. So typically speaking, we'll be like, well, what are you here for? What is the reason why you took the healing session? You know, this is how you feel. For example, I the one where I said I feel like a fraud. I'm like, well, why do you feel like a fraud? You know, and then we kind of go, so when is the last time or the first time you remember feeling this way? And this could go back to your childhood, this could go back to the womb, this could go back generations. You know, I had a client that her bottom belief, it went back many generations. So there we kind of look at past lives again, you know, because it's all genetic. So that is why it's so important that we work on all the levels, because if you work on just the core level, then it's just in this lifetime. So it happened in this lifetime, and this is the reason why it happens in this lifetime. But what if it's genetic? What if it's in your family? What if it's inherited through your pathology? You know? What if it's on a history level, which is sort of like the energy that's around you? You know, because energy around you affects you. What if it's on a soul level? What if it's got to do with a vow that you made in a previous lifetime? You know, what if it's maybe something, and a vow doesn't have to be all that serious. It doesn't mean that you were a nun or a monk, you know, or a priest or whatever. It could be that maybe you were in a very tumultuous upbringing in like a previous life. It could be in this life, obviously. And maybe your parents were fighting and you said, I will never open myself to love, ever, you know? Never. That's a vow that you make. And yes, it's a moment in time that passes, but the universe keeps that in mind. All right? So this is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, you know, healing the broken soul, but it is one of those things that you may not be ready to do it in a first session. It's no reflection on you. It's no reflection on the practitioner. You might just get a virtue from that belief system that is being released, that you might be ready to release. And even though the healing and release is instantaneous, you might need some time for it to happen. In the same way that we make jelly. You know, you put the, you know, basically the colored and the flavored sort of gelatin in the water and you stir it. And it's technically speaking jelly, but it hasn't set yet, or jello, it hasn't set yet. So you need to give it time to set. And so whether it's runny, or whether it's set, or whether it's frozen, it is still jelly, you know? And so sometimes we need some time to, to heal, to get accustomed to things, for things to shift in our lives. And that is also why one of the reasons why it's not recommended that you do a broken soul healing just like that, because it may just be too much too soon. And then you can do more bad than good. All right? So that is what I'd like to share with you on that. I look forward to your comments and your questions. I love to share. I'm very passionate about this. I really like to help you with this. I like to help you to understand what this is all about, you know, how it can benefit your life. Because Theta Healing is a powerful, powerful modality. And it is so many things, you know, sort of like accumulated in one. And you can only really benefit from welcoming this into your life, from incorporating this into your life, which I do strongly advise that you do. Okay? So, thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy, your love, and your light. Namaste, my beautiful cosmic sibling. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. And I look forward to connecting with you on the next video.